In this video, we're going to be working with the extra practice 16 through 18 on page 54. And in these three problems, we're going to be solving the equations. We're solving these quadratic equations. And so we've done this before, and we're going to be solving these using square roots. So remember, when we do this, we want to get our x squared term all by itself on one side of the equal sign. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to get rid of this 25. I'm going to subtract 25 on both sides. 0 minus 25 is negative 25. I need to now get rid of the 5 by dividing both sides by 5. And I get that, and I'm going to rewrite this, that x squared is equal to negative 5. So at this point, now I'm ready to take the square root of both sides. Now, before this lesson, we wouldn't have been able to get an answer. We would have said no real solution. But now we're able to take the square root of negative numbers because we've introduced imaginary numbers. So remember, when you have a negative underneath the square root, you can go ahead and pull that out by writing I outside. So I'm going to rewrite this as I times the square root of 5. Remember, when we solve equations using square roots, when we take the square root of a number, we want to remember that we can get the positive or negative version of that. So I want to make sure I have this plus or minus out front. I can't simplify the square root of 5 any further, so this is my final answer. All right, number 17, I'm going to get the x squared term by itself. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. I get x squared is equal to negative 8. I'll take the square root of both sides. So x is equal to plus or minus. Remember, we're going to take that negative out, right? The square root of negative 1 is I. And I'm left with the square root of 8. I want to check to see if I can simplify this. I think 8 can be simplified, right? Because it can be broken up into a perfect square times 2. Right? I can take the square root of 4. So if you were going to rewrite this, you could rewrite this as, remember, 4 breaks up into 2 times 2. To do the jailbreak method, to break those out, they have to form a pair, but only one survives when they break out. And so my final answer here is plus or minus 2i times the square root of 2. All right, in 18, we've got some fractions here. I want to get all of my x squared terms to one side. So I'm going to subtract a 4/3 x squared on each side. When I do that, I'm left with negative 5/3 x squared equals 1/5. I want to get this x squared term all by itself, so I need to get rid of this negative 5/3. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to multiply by negative 3/5. When I do that, I get x squared is equal to negative 3 over 25. Negative 3/25. And so I'm now ready to take the square root of both sides. I have a negative number underneath, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out that I. I'm going to get plus or minus I. And then remember, taking the square root of 3 over 25 is the same thing as taking the square root of 3 over the square root of 25. And so the square root of 3 is as simplified as I can go, but I can take the square root of 25. Right? The square root of 25 is 5. And so I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that as the square root of 3 over 5.